Welcome. Today we are continuing with History Paper 2, Section B, 45 marks. Answer any 3 questions from this section in the answer booklet provided. Question 18A. State 3 roles played by the Tuaregs in the trans-Saharan trade. They acted as guides. They provided security to traders. They acted as interpreters. They maintained the oasis. They provided food and accommodation to traders. Question 18b. Explain 6 effects of the trans-Saharan trade. A class of wealthy Arabs and African traders came up. It led to the spread of Islamic religion. Trading centers became a big urban centers that is led to the growth of town, for example, Gao, Kano, Saleh, Dibuka. Transport facilities were improved, led to the settlement by the Arabs and the Swahili traders in West Africa, led to intermarriages between the Arabs and the Africans. New industries were introduced like leather and textile industries. It increased warfare. It introduced new cultural value in West Africa. For example, people adopted new styles of dressing and eating habits, led to the introduction of empires, for example, Mali, Songhai, and Ghana, led to the depopulation of West Africa through slave trade, opened West Africa to the outside world. Question 19a. Identify 3 ways in which trade contributed to the growth of kingdoms in Africa in the 19th century. Wealth from the trade boosted the growth of kingdoms. Kings imposed taxes and other levies on the traders who passed through their territories. Kings acquired arms and ammunition from the trade that they used to protect and expand their frontiers. Kings used the trade items, for example clothes, as gifts to win the loyalty of their subject chiefs. Question 19b. Explain 6 factors that led to the rise and the growth of the Buganda kingdom. The fall of Bunyoro. Kitara kingdom, a traditional enemy. The Buganda had able Kabakas. The idea of geographical location with adequate rainfall and fertile soils favored agriculture. The small size of kingdom enabled it to hold together. They had a centralized system of government under the Kabaka that ensured unity. Their participation in the long-distance trade with the Arabs and Waswahili boosted growth. They acquired firearms through trade. They had a strong army which enabled them to conquer the weaker neighboring states such as Bundu and Busonga. The Baganda traditions boosted growth. That is, women worked in the farms while men took part in politics and wars. She got wealth from the kingdoms she had conquered, which were rich in ivory, slaves, and iron ore. So here, yes, the Buganda kingdom. Question 20a. Give 5 reasons why many developing countries have lagged behind in industrialization. Long periods of colonization, poor transport and communication, inadequate capital, low literacy level, stiff competition from industrialized nations, poverty leading to small domestic matters, political instability, poor leadership and corruption, brain drain. Question 20b. Explain 5 effects of industrial revolution in Europe. Led to rural-urban migration. Led to creation of social groups, for example, industrialist and workers. Led to population increase in towns, hence unemployment and congestion. Led to population growth. Led to improved medical services. Led to collapse of cottage industries. Created poor working conditions in the industries. Led to child and women labor. Question 21. Name 3 systems of colonial administration used by European powers in Africa. 3 marks. Indirect rule, direct rule, assimilation, associations. 21b. Discuss the difference between the British and the French forms of administration in Africa. The British appointed traditional leaders as chiefs, whereas the French handpicked individuals as chiefs. The French administration used militia officers, whereas the British used a mixture of amateurs and professionals. British rule was varied as both direct and indirect rule was applied. The French had a uniform policy of assimilation, but only changed to association when assimilation failed. Indirect rule preserved African cultures, while assimilation eroded them. Africans in French colonies became French citizens with full rights. The colonies remained subjects. British maintained the local leaders and gave a lot of power, while the French worked to undermine chieftaincies. Laws in French colonies were legislated in France, but in British colonies they were made by the respective. British colonies were administered separately by a governor accountable in Britain. The French colonies were governed as a federation and regarded as overseer provinces or department of France. The French colonies elected their representative to the Chamber of Deputies in France, while British colonies had LegCo and were not represented in the House of Commons.